Oh, 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 no. I don't need negative energy. Grab me a positive synergy. I have been down it through life. Been there and done it with trifling people who told me my style would not work. I told them they wrong. The struggle's too long. This song is for you. I'm proving you wrong. Get out my way. 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 Haters, all good. Thought I couldn't when I could. Had a dream, it's reality. I made my own way up out the hood. I've been waiting for a long time to collect what's always been mine. Always had a dream to sing, gotta make my gift of music ring to prove to y'all it's at this time. Get to the bottom and then to know now it's time to rise to the top. We'll never forget why I started and who supported and gave me props. I'll never stop working to give you my best. Will drain on my power to pass every test. I give God the glory because truly I'm blessed. If you coming with drama and just get out my way, 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 get out my way. Haters, all good. Thought I couldn't when I could. Had a dream, it's reality. I made my own way up out the hood. All my life been searching for support from the very people who have always had me. Never would have thought I'd be successful doing what I've been doing all my life for you to see. Open up your eyes, it's my time to shine. Scrapping and scraping on my daily grind. Ever since you know the pleasure is mine. Looking the real few failures behind. The world's not ready for this change. Atmos is here to change the game. Don't let no one kill your dreams. Just look in the mirror and you believe that you have the power to put through the storm and fulfill your destiny. Get out my way, 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 get out my way. Haters, all good. Thought I couldn't when I could. Had a dream, it's reality. I made my own way about the hood. We pull up on curves. On haters we swerve. Raised up in God's word. Creators, you heard? Everybody looking, ducking like, whoa. Didn't see this coming, monstrous flow. Coach Easy told me, you'll get ready and go. They about to burst hell and give us some more. If people doubt you, tell them, get out your way. Don't got no time for petty thinking today. Chasing my vision and need you apply. Notice my slide and think is behind. Diamonds is here to save the day. Just buckle up and get out my way. 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 Haters, all good. Thought I couldn't when I could. Had a dream, it's reality. I made my own way about the hood. Actually, stop. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on this beautiful Sunday? Man, what's going on, y'all? What's good? What's good? What's good? Let me pull this up for y'all real quick. Pull up these scripts. Cause we about to get straight down to business, y'all. We about to get straight down to business. Let me share this with y'all. Man, thank you everybody that came into this Blessed House Ministries this morning and spent time with me, with God. As y'all know, he my rock, y'all. He is my, if you ever wonder, happens how you get the energy to do this and read and all this kind, man, it's all God. As y'all can see, based on, so we at page 3,501. I want y'all to really, really take this in real quick. So we've read over 3,501 pages over the last, few weeks. With the help of y'all, we are able to get through this information, which has been amazing. So I want to salute y'all for everyone that's been volunteering and helping me get through this. Before I was able to do that, I had other people help me. Like, I appreciate y'all so much. And we still got more to go, y'all. But it's so important for us to actually read these transcripts because it gives us the actual truth. And I'm all about the truth on this channel. If it's not coming straight from the transcripts, then I'm going to look at you real sideways like, what you talking about? You know, especially if you say something coming out of the courtroom and I look in the transcripts and it's something totally different. Or you just so happen to miss a really small detail is actually pretty big, okay? Let me see who up in here, y'all. Let me see who up in here. Miss Tracy Wallace, how you doing, Queen? Miss Tracy Wallace said, I'm here. I have a 101 and 98-year-old patients waiting for you to start so they can hear your voice. Oh, to those patients, I want y'all to know that God loves you and God has you and you are kept and you are in a safe place. And Miss Wallace going to take very good care of y'all because she has a sweet spirit. And I want y'all to know, I don't know y'all, but I love y'all because y'all are children of God, okay? So y'all just sit back and enjoy and just relax, okay? Thank y'all for listening. What's up, LD? How you doing? T-Bam 1. T-Bam, I got a bone to pick with you. Atlas got a bone to pick with you, T-Bam 1, because I saw last night that you love to read. And I ain't seen one time when I said, please hit that like, that T-Bam 1 that hit that like to help me read. So hopefully you'll change that today, sister. How you doing? I'm just teasing you. But I would like to hear you read with me sometimes, okay? Hey, Miss Quasia, how you doing? Let's continue. Day 16, transcript 3501. Hello, how you doing? Miss Jennifer, how you doing today? Rosalind Baxter, how are you? Miss Thomas, thank you so much. Congratulations. Congratulations on winning the blessing pot this morning, Miss Thomas. I pray that it can do a little something for you. Miss McBride, hello, how you doing? All right, Sher Slays, what's going on? How you doing? Chocolate 82467, how you doing? Unapologetically Hebrew, how you doing, Queen? What's going on? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Tyra Henry, hello. My first time seeing you here. Thank you for coming in. What's up, Miss Karen J? Miss Karen, okay, you driving and listening. Well, thank you for listening while you drive. Let me see. T-Bam in chat, like and subscribe. Yes, y'all. What's up, Alicia Smith? How you doing, Queen? What is this? Falcons 10, Washington 7. You got jokes. You got jokes. Okay. That's all right. So you saying my team losing? That's all right. Hey, Melissa McCampbell, how you doing? What's up, Tanya? Tanya, hopefully you can call in and help me read today because we're going to get into it. Hey, Miss Wilkins. Service P, what's going on? How are you? What's up, Samara? I ain't seen you in a long time, Queen. How you doing? But thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in. Your sound was out, but you listening now? Okay. Let me see. West Coast Bells is in the building. How you doing, Queen? Yeah, let me see. I got Tanya. I got West Coast Bells in here. I got T-Bam. So I got some people up in here that's some readers. So what's up, Just Videos? How are you? Granny, what's going on? How you doing, y'all? I'm trying to work on having an inside voice, y'all, so I'm not screaming and yelling in y'all ears because I got a big mouth, right? So as y'all see, I'm trying to tone back on the volume that I'm using so y'all can hear me clearly and I'm not just, blowing y'all ears out. She said, I told you I have a baby voice. That's okay. I don't care about your baby voice. You can still read. That's okay. We ain't gonna judge you. I promise you. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and post the link. All those that want to come in and help read, just hit the link. Let me go ahead and post it right quick. Let me see. Invite, clipboard, copy the clipboard. Boom, boom, boom. Here, post. Let me say paste. There we go. All right, so there is the link. Let me get my phone and put the link at the top of the chats for those who want to come in and help read. Hold on. Let me see here. All right. Let me click my link and put it to the top. Okay, so I just pinned the link to the top of the chat. So if you would love to come in and help us read, I would greatly appreciate it. That would be so awesome. And I will get you up in here. Let me make sure my volume is down so that I can get y'all going here. Pull my phone up. Yes. Y'all, thank y'all for being in here. I know some people probably watching football and all good. That's all good. What's up, Miss Aisha? How you doing? What's going on? So if y'all can hit that link. Hey, DR, how you doing, Queen? How you doing? How you doing? Let me see here. All right. So we are going to start, y'all, on page 3501. my readers can go ahead and get that link. Oh, you cook, Alicia? That no, that's not Alicia. It's Aisha. Aisha, you talking about you cooking? Cooking. Be able to cook too. Go ahead and hit that. What's up, Tanya? I can hear your background just a little bit.
Oh, let me turn that down. Sorry.
Thank you. She said, "I'm listening." Hey, Rocking with the Truth, you back? Thank you very much for coming back. Aisha, what you cooking? Let me see what you cooking. See if you know how to throw down in the kitchen. Let me see. All right. So let me see if anyone else wants. I got Tanya in here. Let me see if anyone else wants to come in. I'm trying to give you at least a couple of minutes before we get started. T-Bam, if you want, you can come in and read. I don't care about your little baby voice. That's okay.
I got a little baby voice too. Come on in.
She said she don't like hearing herself read. Let me see. Who else? Let me see. West Coast Bells, can you come in and read? Can you come in?
It's about to get really good, guys. I read ahead.
Oh yeah, it's about to get real spicy.
Yep.
Real sticky. Diva time is up in here. Okay. All right. Well, what we'll do, let me see. I'm trying to get him a minute. Let me do one more minute, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started, y'all. Atmos, do you need more donations? Yes, we do, y'all. But I don't want you to send nothing yet until I am I'm getting with the court reporter today, because we still got to get the we got 2 more days of testimony, and then we have the closing for the prosecution, and then the defense is closed, and then we should be good going into Chicago. Okay. But I am going to be reaching out to the court reporter today to see how much we need. Like I said, the prosecution will probably be the most, plus the last 2 days of testimony. But the defense, they only had like I said, like 3 hours? Maybe 50 cents. I don't know. We'll see.
Atmos, I love it.
Yes. We just how long have y'all been? We just got on here, Diva Time. We just got on here. So, okay, you know what? Tanya, we're going to go ahead and get started.
Sounds good.
We're going to go ahead and get started. Let me, boom. And then we'll just go back and forth and make it work. So what I'm going to do is, let me pull it up on my end.
Oh, it's Kanex time too. All right.
It is Kanex time. Yeah. So it's still Kanex time. So we're going to start at the top of 3501. You can be Miss Mayweather on the stand.
All right.
I'll just jump in, and I'll be Kanex, and I'll also be the government. And if you want to be the judge, we can just bounce back and forth. We'll make it flow.
All right.
I'm used to reading everything, so if you want to focus on. Hold on, somebody just clicked in. Hold on, let me see. Who was this? Oh, Quaisha came in. Awesome. Hey, Miss Quaisha, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. I was trying to pull it up first. And I said that, if I could read this, I'll follow along and read the short parts,
Sure. That's awesome. If you don't mind, how about you be the you want to be the judge, or you want to be the judge? The court?
I'll be the court, but I'm still trying to pull it up. So
okay. So we on page 3501, all the way at the top.
Okay, would I have that that in the last email that you sent me?
Yes, ma'am. I believe you do. Yep, day 16.
Okay.
Yep. And just in case, I'll go ahead and send it again.
Yeah, send it again, please.
Yep, I believe. Let me see. Sent. Let me see. Day 16. Hold on. I believe I sent it to you, but just in case, just tell me the first. How's the email start?
STRONG.
Hold on. I got it. Right there. All right. I just sent it. It's on the way right now. Hold on. This message. Send anyway. Okay, I just sent it. So when you pull it up, just go ahead and get to 3501, and we're gonna get started. April Showers is in the building. How you doing, April Showers? How are you today? Leo the Lioness Queen. Hello. How are you? Awesome. All right, and it's my first time seeing you in here, Leo the Lioness. So welcome in, welcome in. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Adriana Andrews, Adriana, can you help us read? Adriana, can you help us read? If you can, let me see. New to the channel, you all do an amazing job with reading the transcripts. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Queen. We appreciate that. That means a lot. Adriana, can you help us read today? Is that possible? If so, hit the link. Hit that link up top, and we will get you up in here. That will be awesome, awesome, awesome. It flows so much easier when we got a whole team of people reading, because we could just boom, boom, but everybody know their part. So let me see here. So Miss Question, did you get it? The email?
I just opened the last one that you sent me because it hadn't come in yet. Okay. And I downloaded it again. And I'm scrolling.
Yep, just try to get to 3501. And then we can get started. Tanya, can you cook?
Oh yeah, I cook.
What you be cooking, Tanya?
Oh, well, I'm over here in Massachusetts, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like to cook some pot roast.
You be making beans because you close to Boston, right?
I'm not actually. I'm on the other side of the state. I'm outside Springfield, where the Hall of Fame is.
Springfield. Oh,
the Basketball Hall of Fame.
That's in Illinois, right?
No, there's Springfield, Illinois, but there's Springfield, Massachusetts too.
What basketball Hall of Fame is in
the
NBA?
The NBA, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's our little thing over here that we have, and then the volleyball Hall of Fame too.
Oh! Aisha says she making chicken stew.
Ooh,
chicken stew. That sounds good.
But I like to make some clam chowder over here for making soup.
Oh yeah. Awesome. So I don't know if y'all saw my new thumbnail, but I took yesterday. I said, you know what? I want to put more time into my channel to get it together. So that thumbnail I created this morning that says them free RKelly, and the videos says, yeah, good luck with that. So yeah, so I'm like really excited about are you driving home? Okay, it's okay, Adriana. Okay. Hey Brooklyn D, how you doing? How's your progress going, Question?
I'm on 3501.
You are?
So, yeah.
Yay.
Q, did you? Okay.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start there. And that's me, because I'm the mechanic, as they say. Although I don't got no tools for this trial. But we're gonna get straight to it though, y'all, okay?
Okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So Quaisha's gonna be the court. And I'll jump in and out with the government and Kanex. And then any intermediate stuff, then I'll jump in there too. And Tanya, you could just be Alicette right now, and then we'll switch up from wherever. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So here's Kanex. Let me make sure we're right. Yes. Did you write those reports?
No.
Prior to your testimony today, had you read any? Hold on, no. I think we're in. This is the government, y'all.
Okay.
It says Kanex at the top, but I think this is the government. So I'll just read the government. Okay. All right. So here's the government. You see, I gotta change my mood because the government a lot more nicer.
Handling Miss.
I don't know if y'all notice my tone changes when I say government.
It does.
It does.
All right, here we go. Did you write those reports?
No.
Prior to your testimony today, had you read any of those reports?
No.
And ever had an opportunity to check them for accuracy?
No.
I'm showing the witness only what has been marked for identification is 3500 AM 1-1 page 2. Do you see what's written in this paragraph where my pen is pointed?
Yes.
Is it fair to say that those reports make clear that they are not verbatim accounts of the statements made during those meetings?
Yes.
And is it fair to say that it also makes clear that it doesn't memorialize all statements made during a particular interview?
Yes.
By the way, you were asked about times that you escorted some of the defendant's female guests and live-in girlfriends into a concert venue. Do you recall those questions?
Yes.
Now, was your job to provide security for the defendant? I mean, for those live-in girlfriends or female guests?
Yeah. No.
Okay. And did the defendant employ other people to provide security for him?
For him, yes.
Awesome. Now, were those other people who he employed as security, were they there to provide security for the defendant's female girlfriends and living guests?
No.
By the way, you were asked on cross-examination about whether the defendant would stand up when a female or one of his female guests entered the room. Do you recall those questions?
I do.
Did the defendant stand up when you walked into a room?
No.
Nothing further.
Any recall?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going into Kanex mode, y'all. Let's get it. Now, Tanya,
Mm-hmm.
did you read Mayweather yesterday?
No, I think it was Shay that read Mayweather.
Okay, so let me just put my disclaimer out there. Don't get mad at me.
Bring it. I'm gonna get right back at you. I'm ready.
I always got to put that disclaimer out there because people be thinking like, oh, Atlas being mean. Atlas is an asshole. No, I'm just reading the part, okay?
Got it.
All right, here we go. Let me get into my mode.
Oh, Lord.
Jalen and Kanex.
You were asked some questions about being at one of Mr. Kelly's parties, and it was your responsibility to check the IDs of his guests. Do you remember that question? Just being of you?
Yes.
Now, that was the role of security. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. He had, as you testified, a security staff that would check ID for age. Am I correct?
I don't think they checked ID for every party.
My question was not that. My question was simply this. He had a staff that was there, and that staff was a security staff, and they would check IDs. Am I correct?
I can't say that they did.
You can't say that they did.
No.
But you can't say that they didn't.
I cannot say they did not.
Now, just like you can't say that you were asked a question about what happened behind closed doors, do you remember that question being asked of you?
Yes.
Well, you don't know what happened behind closed doors. Am I correct?
Correct.
You testified and talked about hearing something that sounded like a spank.
I said a lick.
A lick. So after you heard a lick, did you hear any screams?
No.
Did you hear any crying?
No.
Did you hear any muffled noise whatsoever?
No.
Now, the bottom line is that you never saw an underage female at one of Mr. Kelly's parties. Am I correct?
Correct.
And you never saw Mr. Kelly physically hit anyone. Am I correct?
Correct.
And when you testified that Jane was on this bus, on the tour bus, you don't know why she was on the tour bus. Am I correct?
Correct.
Now, you were asked about whether or not there were pens and paper and desks in the studio. Am I correct?
Correct.
But there's also recording going on in the studio. Am I correct?
Correct.
People are recording songs. Am I correct?
Correct.
Loud music. Am I correct?
Correct.
There's no recording going on in the studio bus, is it?
No.
There's no loud noise in the studio when Jane was there and you were there. Am I correct?
No.
No, nothing further, Your Honor.
Any?
Just one question.
Okay.
In the recording studio, is the recording studio itself soundproof?
The recording part is, yes.
Where someone would record?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Anything else? Any other question?
Just 1 second, please.
All right.
No.
Oh, all right. I'm trying to think about using our time well. I think we might start another witness since we are staying a little bit late, and we will begin lunch at like 1:20 or so. Does that work for everyone or everybody? Nobody is nobody is saying no.
It's not here anyway.
Let's soldier on. Can you call your next witness, please?
The government calls Nicholas Williams to the stand.
Okay, we can take this witness away. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Witness steps down. Okay, so what we'll do now, if you don't mind, I'll be Nicholas Williams. You could be the government, Tanya.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you could just stay the judge.
Okay.
Miss Question. Okay, so the government, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
All right.
You may be. Oh, go ahead. Thank you. May be seated.
All right. You can take your mask off. Just a couple of things. The microphone is on, right? Do you want to tap it?
Yes, it is.
I want to make sure this jury can hear you or hear what you have to say. You are also perfectly free to take it out and hold it if it makes it easier. I want to make sure they can hear you. The court reporters take down everything that you say. So don't speak too quickly
Okay.
or don't speak over whoever is questioning you. And if there is a question that you want to have clarified or repeated, just tell me and I will have the lawyer rephrase it.
Okay.
Just do your best to answer the question that you are being asked and not volunteer anything. Okay?
Sure. Nicholas Williams is called by the government, having been duly sworn, was examined and testifies as follows.
Mr. Williams, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Springfield, Illinois.
Are you currently employed?
I am.
How are you employed?
I'm a product designer for a medical device manufacturer.
And how far did you go in school?
Officially, I obtained an associate's degree. I've been taking coursework in electrical engineering and computer programming, but officially, the associate's is the furthest I have gone.
Where did you get your associate's degree?
Full Sail University.
Where is Full Sail University located?
Winter Park, Florida, near Orlando.
And what field did you get your associate's degree in?
Auto engineering.
Why did you get a degree in audio engineering?
I played the drums growing up since I was a kid. And, I wanted to move into, doing sounds and recording studios and wanted to do it professionally.
After you completed Full Sail University, did you get a job related to the music industry?
I did, but not immediately.
Where did you get a job once you got one in the music industry?
I stayed in contact with Full Sail's placement department, and they put me in contact with what I thought was Chicago Tracks in Chicago.
What's Chicago Tracks?
Chicago Tracks was a recording studio.
And when did you obtain the job?
I believe I interviewed in April of 2003, and then obtained the job roughly May or June.
Now, you testified that Chicago Tracks Studio was located in Chicago, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall the address of that studio?
It was 865 North Larrabee.
North Larrabee Street in Chicago?
Yeah.
I believe that you testified that you obtained the job in May or June of 2003, correct?
That's correct.
Or, excuse me, that you started your job approximately May or June of 2003, correct?
Yes, correct.
And how long did you work at Chicago, the studio?
It was roughly a year.
Approximately how old were you when you first began working at Chicago Tracks?
I would have been 19.
I'm showing you what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 30. We can show this to the jury and the public.
Exhibit published?
Do you recognize that?
Unfortunately, I do.
And who is that?
That's a very embarrassing picture of myself.
And approximately how old were you at that time?
I believe I was 19 at that point.
Now, when you first started working at what you believed was going to be Chicago Tracks Studio, did you know who you would be working for?
When I accepted the position or was offered the position, I did not know. I found out my first day of work.
And said on your first day of work, you found out?
Yeah.
And who did you find out you would be working for?
I was told by Tom Arnold, that the studio manager, that I would be, the way the conversation went is when I sat down for my first day to get my instructions for what I'm going to do, I was told that basically my job was to do whatever Rob wanted. And I asked who Rob was. And he was like, "Are you serious?" "No, I don't." And he said, "You're working for Robert Kelly. And you working for RKelly, and your job is to do whatever he wants for him."
At the time, did you know who RKelly was?
I did, yeah.
Who did you understand him to be?
A global musician, like R&B performer artist.
And are you excited? Are you excited the prospect of working with RKelly?
Yeah, I was.
Now, you testified you originally started working at the studio. You thought you were going to be working for Chicago Track Studios, and then you learned that you were going to be working for Robert Kelly. What was the difference between working for Chicago Tracks or working for Robert Kelly?
So I believe, I found out in my first week that Chicago Tracks was no longer an actual studio, and it was purchased by Robert Kelly to use for his own studio. Now, Chicago Tracks itself was no longer in business.
So you mentioned Tom Arnold is a studio manager?
Correct.
I am showing you what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 31. Do you recognize this individual?
I do.
And who is that?
Oh, that's Tom Arnold.
I'm also showing you what's in the evidence as Government Exhibit 1. Do you recognize that individual in the photograph?
I do.
Who is that?
That's Robert Kelly.
At some point when you started working for the studio that was owned by Robert Kelly, did you have an opportunity to meet him?
I did. From early on, I was working for him and I saw him or interacting with him daily.
Do you see him in the courtroom here today?
It's difficult to see with the mask, but I believe I do. I believe you see the gentleman with the blue striped tie and the blue suit between.
Why don't we make it easier if Mr. Kelly can take his mask off?
Can you please lower it? Yeah, that's Rob.
Indicating the defendant.
Now, when you first started working at the studio, what, if any, paperwork were you required to sign when you began working there?
I signed a confidentiality agreement.
And who presented you with that confidentiality agreement?
That would have been Tom Arnold.
And what did you understand your obligations to be under the confidentiality agreement?
I mean, basically, like, most agreements are NDAs. Anything that was sought, anything that was seen or discussed, talked about, and interactions that occurred within the walls of the studio or out publicly. But in the public with Rob was to keep it between myself, not released to the public, not talked about with friends, not talked about on social media, etc., etc.
Now, you stated that when you first learned that you were going to be working with RKelly, the defendant, that you were excited about the prospect. Did that change at some point?
It did over time. It did.
Why?
Well, many of the things that I saw that I was required to do, they made me feel uncomfortable, to be honest with you. I mean, it seemed like there was times when there was, hospitality from the defendant, and it felt like a hostile work environment. In addition, I was under the impression that I would be eventually able to use audio equipment, and I wasn't able to do that.
You testified you started when you started at this studio. What was your position again?
When I first started, I was an intern.
And was that a paid position?
No, it won't.
What were your duties and responsibilities when you first started as an unpaid intern?
I mean, as an intern, I was required to do basically cleaning, vacuuming, wiping down any bathrooms, sinks, toilets, cleaning the floors, making coffee in the morning, and just any general requests that came from Tom, Rob, or any other employees that was above me.
Now, at some point, did your position as an intern change?
Yo, it did. After about 3 months, I was promoted to, I don't know if what other technical name was for the position, but I basically sat at the front security desk and answered the phones and let people in and out of the gates parked outside.
Now, was that a paid position?
Yeah, it was about $6 an hour.
And how long were you in that position?
Did this dude just say $6 an hour?
He sure did.
Mhm, mhm,
$6 an hour.
mhm.
Yeah, that's why I sound dumb when I talk like him, because that's a. Oh, let me get back to it. Oh, I was in the position for roughly like 9 months, since the internship was 3 months, so a total of about 12.
When you were answering phones at the security desk at the studio, did you work a particular shift?
Yeah, I worked 4 days a week from 10 p.m. until noon the following day.
Mm, mm, mm.
And did you ever work hours longer than that designated shift?
I did. The additional, the individual that was supposed to replace me would generally come in like a couple of hours late. So a 14-hour shift would end up being 16 to 17 hours.
Now, when you worked, did you have to keep track of your time in some way?
I did, but there was an old manual time card machine on the wall with some paper time cards, and then I would slide it in, press the button, and it would it would record the time, and you would enter that in the box of your arrival and your end time.
Were the timesheets used for the purposes of you receiving your pay?
Uh, yeah. That would have been.
When you filled out your timesheets, fair to say that you wanted to be accurate on those timesheets?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
When you received payment, how did you get paid?
I believe like it would have been like in the form of a check.
And who issued you your checks?
Those came from a company called Base Productions.
Mhm.
Um, Now, you testified that you worked the late shift from 10 p.m. to 12 p.m. the following day. When you worked shifts, and that there was another individual who would often show up late. Who, if anyone, worked that day shift while you were working at the station?
There would have been Blake Chafin.
Showing the witness what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 24. Do you recognize that individual?
I do.
Who is that?
That's Blake Chapman with shorter hair.
During your time working for the defendant at the studio on Larrabee Street, did you have an opportunity to meet other individuals who worked for the defendant?
Yeah, I did. There was the positions of what I knew to be business manager, and what had been Donnie Lau, along with the head of security, which would have been Big John.
Now, you mentioned Adani Lyle. I'm showing you what's in evidence as Government's Exhibit 32. Do you recognize that individual?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Well, that's Donnie Lau.
What was his position?
As far as I know, he was his business manager.
For the defendant?
Correct.
You also mentioned a Big John as working security?
That's correct.
I'm showing you what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 23. Do you recognize that individual?
I do.
And who is that?
That's Big John.
Do you know Big John's full name?
Unfortunately, I don't.
I'm also showing you what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 49. Do you recognize this individual?
Oh, I believe I do.
And who is that?
That would have been one of the engineers, Ian Marinas.
And did he work at the studio at the time that you were working at the studio?
Yeah, he did.
And did he work as an engineer for the defendant?
He was one of the primary engineers, yeah.
I'm showing you what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 50. Do you recognize that individual?
I do.
Who is that?
Abel Garibaldi.
And what, if anything, did he do?
He was one of the primary engineers, if not the primary audio engineer for Rob.
Okay. I'm also showing what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 26. Do you recognize this individual?
I do recognize that individual.
And how do you recognize him?
I believe he was one of the assistant engineers at the studio.
Do you recall his name?
I think it might have been Jeff, but I don't recall the last name.
So you testified that you answered telephones as part of your responsibilities once you moved into your paid position. How many telephone lines were there at this studio?
There was about 4 telephone lines, and there was one primary, but 4 total lines.
Were you responsible for answering all of those telephone lines?
I was, yes.
And other than the telephone at the reception area where you worked and answered telephone, where were telephones in other locations around the studio?
Yeah, there were, I don't recall exactly the location of the number of them, but there have been one in Tom's office, his main office as a studio manager. There was 2 or 3 spread around the hall, around the wall in the hallway. So if we were since it was primary 2 stories, if I had to run up a note upstairs and I needed to answer the phone upstairs, then there was one in the hallway, and then there was one occasional, there was occasional rooms that had phones.
So you mentioned a couple of different types of phones in the studio. You mentioned the hallway area. Obviously, you mentioned the offices. What other types of rooms were there at the studio?
So there was, there was a large warehouse, that had garage access, and there was a room like telephone service and IT type things. And then there was a waiting room up front. And there was a small lounge, like waiting room for any music artists that came, to the studio and upstairs. What used to be, I believe, 4 or 5 different industry standard recording studios. Only 2 of those was kept open to be operated as recording studios, and the rest was turned into lounges for guests.
And who turned them into lounges?
It occurred before I arrived there, but I believe that it been Rob's direction. Well,
If you don't know, don't testify. Did you object?
yes.
All right. The objection is sustained. Sustained as to that part.
But fair to say that there were lounges inside of the studio.
Yeah.
You also testified about Tom Arnold's office. Do you recall what floor that was on?
It was on the first floor, right next to the security area.
Now, while you were on shift, did anyone other than you use the or answer the studio telephone lines?
Occasionally, Rob would pick up the phone himself, but if I was like there overnight, it would generally be me picking it up.
Now, if someone called into the studio, what would you say when you answered the phone?
Initially, like whenever I would pick up the phone, it was just a simple studio, and that's it. As time progressed, we were instructed to call his studio the Chocolate Factory, and I would answer the phone saying Chocolate Factory.
Why would you answer the phone as Chocolate Factory?
Rob directed us to answer the phone as Chocolate Factory.
While working at the studio, did you answer calls of people trying to reach the defendant?
I did.
And what types of people would call the studio asking to speak to the defendant?
It'll be a number of people, like his personal trainer, other musical artists, or actors that needed to be in touch with him. I mean, anybody that arrived at the front gate to come into the studio, other fans or guests that were within the walls of the studio.
When you say fans or guests, did you ever receive calls from female individuals looking to speak with the defendant?
Yeah, I did.
So if someone called the studio trying to reach the defendant, what, if any, process did you have for alerting the defendant to a call?
So next to the phone, we had like a stack of cut up pieces of paper that was roughly like 1.5 by 1.5 inches in dimension. And once, or the process was to write down the name of the person who was on the phone line and along with the 4-digit extension of that particular phone. And then we were calling in on. Well, once it was written down, I'll run upstairs or whatever, whatever location I knew Rob to be. And it was generally the recording studio, the primary recording studio. I would, wait for the music to stop, open the door, step in, stand in the corner without looking at anybody, waiting to be acknowledged. And then I would hand a piece of paper to Rob, and when I was, and he would, need either say, yeah, man, I got it, or I'm not here.
When he said, I'm not here, meaning for you to tell the individual on the phone that Rob was not there?
Correct. I'm sorry, I can't find him.
So just to be clear, you previously testified that individuals would call the studio lines, correct?
That's correct.
And some of those individuals were female, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did some of these calls come from outside of the studio?
Yeah.
And while working reception, did you ever answer calls from inside the studio from individuals trying to reach the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And did you ever receive calls from inside of the studio from females trying to reach the defendant?
That is correct. Yes.
Generally speaking, who would these females be?
These would be like the female guests that came to see Rob and were in one of the lounges. One of the lounges on the second floor.
You testified that. One second, Your Honor.
Okay.
Just backing up for a minute. When you were talking about answering calls, you mentioned a 4-digit extension.
That's correct.
What were you referring to?
You know what I'm saying? It would be the last 4 digits or whatever the phone number and that they were calling him from.
From inside the studio.
So basically, like if anybody's calling down from like down to the front lobby from any other place, like from any other phone, then they will pick up and choose a line, and the last 4 digits of that particular line would then light up. And as they was calling me on the main line, and then I would write down which room, and then I would go, where in and who it was, and I knew who it was.
So someone calling from inside the studio, when you saw the 4-digit extension, that's the extension to the telephone number from whatever phone it is inside of the studio.
Yeah, you would select different 4-digit phone numbers from whatever phone that you was at, so it wouldn't tell me which room they was in.
But it's fair to say it's from inside the studio.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. I think now is a good time. Oh, I'm sorry.
You fine here? Okay, I think now is a good time to stop for lunch.
The witness can step down. Oh, you say that. I'm sorry.
The witness can step down.
Witness steps down.
Folks, I'm going to excuse you for lunch. Don't talk about the case in any way, shape, or form. But good lunch. We will be back here at 2:30.
All rise. The jury exits.
Everybody can sit down. How much more do you think you have with this witness?
Maybe half an hour.
Is this your witness, Mr. Kanex?
Yes.
Okay. I wondered how much more we're going to get done today. Who is after this witness?
Our case agent, we have one witness.
Somebody had surgery.
Yes, we have a short witness for tomorrow, which we may ask to take out of order because that witness is flying in, and 2 more witnesses on Friday.
Anything anybody has to bring up before we break?
No.
No. Luncheon recess taken. Afternoon session in open court. The Honorable Ann M. Donnelly presiding. Defendant is present. The following occurs outside the presence of the jury.
We've been talking about scheduling a little bit. I had told the jurors that we will go to 6 today, and I am told by the optimistic representatives of both sides that that's not necessary.
Hold on one moment. Let me see somebody clicked in. Yay! You came in. Talk. Your phone on mute, Tam. T-Band 1. Can you hear me?
Okay, it's off. Yeah. Can you hear
You
me?
don't sound like no little kid. You tripping.
Yes, I do.
All right, T-Bam, let me throw you in right quick. We're gonna do a little shit to add T-Bam in. T-Bam, if you don't mind, let me see. You can stay with the government. Matter of fact, how about this? T-Bam, you go with the government. Tanya, I'm gonna switch you to the judge, the court. So just jump in right where Quaisha is. Quaisha, I'm gonna move you to the bailiff and all of the intermediate things, okay?
Okay, hold on. Who am I reading?
Oh, you're gonna read the court where it says the court.
Okay.
And then all the intermediate stuff like witness take the stand, jury enters, all that. That's what question now still stay for us. I'm sorry, Mr. Whatever his name is, the witness.
Nick,
yeah, Nick. Okay.
So I'm reading from the TV, so I don't have a script.
Perfect. So just start right to the top, right there where it says the court, right where I got it on the TV.
And that'll be me, Tanya?
No, Tanya, yes, that's right, Tanya, yes.
Okay. All right.
Hold on. So T-Bam, so you're going to be the government then?
The government?
Yes. So you'll be right wherever it says Q, that's where you'll come in.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'll be the witness, and then Ms. Quaisha, you'll be doing the intermediate parts, okay?
Okay.
All right. So go ahead, Tanya.
We've been talking about scheduling a little bit. I had told the jurors that we would go to 6 today, and I am told by the optimistic representatives of both sides that that's not necessary. I think we will just see, because if the plan is to finish the government's case on Friday, I really would like that to happen. And I would rather have extra time on Friday than today. The other thing is that obviously, for anyone who observes Yom Kippur, it will be nicer to leave earlier tomorrow. I think I'm going to stick with the 6 o'clock unless there's a burst of speed here that moves us along, which I don't sense. So let's get the witness and then we will get the jury.
Witness take the stand. Jury enters.
Go ahead, Q. You can do the courtroom deputy too.
You may be seated.
We had a few little matters to discuss, but we are doing fine schedule-wise. So we all continue with the direct examination. Go ahead.
The witness is reminded he is still under oath.
Yeah, agreed. Go ahead, question.
Oh,
Right after I said yes, agreed.
Nicholas Williams, having been previously duly sworn, affirmed, testified as follows. Do I read all that? Continue.
Yeah, fine.
Okay. Continue direct examination.
Okay, this where you come in, T-Bam. You Q.
Okay, I think I'm kind of like lagging behind.
Okay. Speed your pull your little thing up to
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Can you hear me? T-Bam, you hear me?
I hear you to a certain extent, but I need to pull what up now?
Pull what do you see on your screen right now? What do you see on your TV?
Hold on. Prior to the lunch break.
Yes, that's where you come in. That's you. You the Q.
Okay, I believe you testified that when you receive calls from females.
I'm sorry. Hello. Hey, T-Bam.
Oh, I'm reading prior to the lunch.
Yes, ma'am.
It's still lagging. Okay, I got you.
Okay.
Prior to the lunch break, we were testifying about receiving calls from both inside and outside the studio. Do you recall that?
Yes.
I believe you testified that when you receive calls from females, both outside and inside the studio, looking to speak with the defendant. Is that correct?
That's correct.
With respect to both calls coming from outside and inside the studio, do you use the same process for testifying earlier before, writing the message down and then going to the defendant wherever he was in the studio?
That's correct.
I can't hear.
That's correct. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I keep getting like from my phone, I keep getting static and in and out. So
I'm gonna mute my mic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, mute your phone if you're not speaking. That'll probably help. Okay, can you hear me now, T-Bam?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, is that you? I hear some rattling in the phone. I don't know if that's you or. Hold on. Okay, how about now? Can you hear me? Because they both muted, so it's just me and
Yes.
you on here now. Okay. All right. All right, go ahead and read. Line 21.
Okay. So you testified that as part of your responsibilities while working the reception desk, that also includes letting visitors into the studio premises?
Correct.
Can you describe the exterior of the building that housed the defendant studio?
Okay. North Larrabee Street. If you were on the street facing the facility, on the right side is the primary facility, and on the left side is the chain link fence in the parking lot. And from the street on the main part of the building, there was a roll-up garage door that was the only other entrance that I was aware of from outside of the gate parking lot. And when you pull up to the gated parking lot surrounded by a very tall chain link fence, there was a phone call keypad. And on the left in front of the automatic sliding chain link fence, and someone would come up to that and they call into me. And when you enter to the parking lot, the main entrance was on the first level to the left. And if you were now facing the side of the building, and there was also a stairway that led upstairs to a second story on the right side facing the building. T-Bam?
Oh, am I Mr. Cruz?
Yeah. You everything where it
Okay.
says Q and they just
Okay. So I'm showing the witness what's in the evidence as government exhibit 525U, exhibit published.
And that's that where it
What
says
do
like
you
anything
see
in
in
parentheses. Go ahead. Where anything is in parentheses, that's what Quay shall read, like exhibit published. That's her part. Quay,
Okay.
you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I had to put my mic up.
Okay, go ahead and do your part.
What line?
Go, it's okay. We got it. It's exhibit published, 18. She got you. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Go ahead. Go ahead, government. Go ahead,
Okay, what do
T-Bam.
you mean? What do you see? What do you see in 525U?
I mean, if you look under the sign that says Chicago Tracks, that's the call keypad that you would use to call with whoever was working at the front desk to enter. But this is the chain link that surrounds the parking lot part of Chicago Tracks along with automatic gates. T-Bam? Hello?
Showing you 525B below the center of the photographs. Is that the keypad that you testified about?
Yeah.
Also showing the government exhibit 525Q, which is in the evidence. What do you see here?
That's the main first floor entrance to the facility.
And showing what's in evidence as government exhibit 525R. What do you see here?
I see the roll-up garage door, but it looks slightly different from what I remember during my employment.
Now, what kinds of visitors will come see the defendant at the studio?
Visitors will come and see Rob. Could vary from other professional artists, musicians, actors that he was doing projects with, his personal trainer, some of his entourage, or obviously any of the other employees that work there could come to the facility. But to see Rob directly, where the folks that I just listed before, and any female guest that he invited to the studio after a show or after a performance or something of that nature.
Now, when focusing on the visitors who came to the studio, how did you know who to let into the studio to see the defendant?
This was a similar process to the phone call. If somebody came to the front gate, I would write down. I would write down who the person was at the front gate instead of the 4-digit number and the name of the person who it was to run it up to Rob.
And once an individual was inside of the chain link fence that you testified about, what, if anything, would you do to let people in?
I mean, I feel like I would call the buzzer at the front door, that I would have to buzz to let them open the main door of the building itself.
Was there access into the studio building after then through the front door?
There was, but not public access. That stairway that goes upstairs. There was another entrance, and then of course the roll top door where he parked his vehicle.
When you say he, who do you mean?
When Rob, the defendant, will park his vehicle.
Where would he park his vehicle?
He entered the garage that was accessed from the street and pulled into the garage type room within the facility.
And if someone entered in through the garage, how would they get into the building?
There was an elevator that went directly up to the second floor from there.
Were there cameras inside the garage from what you could see?
Now, that not that I was aware of, no.
If there was a visitor inside the gate by the front door, where you would let them in?
There was cameras at the front entrance, cameras in the front main hallway leading to the waiting area. So facing the door and then facing down the hallway in the other direction, I believe, was another camera.
You testified that some of the defense guests would come to visit him were females. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And during your times working with the defendant, did you, in fact, let female guests into the studio who came to see the defendant?
I did, yes.
And on those instances, would you alert the defendant to their presence?
Before they would let into the building, I would have to get permission of where to move those guests between the building. I would generally be told something in the nature of put them in the lounge too. Put them in lounge too.
Who would you tell that?
Rob would tell me that.
To be clear, if a female came to see Rob, you would speak with Rob, the defendant, and he would tell you where in the studio to place the female guest?
That's accurate, yes.
How? You mentioned that there was times when the defendant left you to performance and concerts and parties. I believe you said on those occasions would females guests come to the studio?
On occasion, they would. I mean, I believe they would come in. Now I know that they would come into. But I know that they will come on the front gate either immediately after Rob returned or within the next hour or so. But I also am aware that some of the female guests entered the garage with him.
What, if any, did you notice about some of the female guests that came to see the defendant after these concerts and parties?
All them was very young.
And how old were you at the time?
19.
Now, did any of the defendant female guests who came to see the defendant remain in the studio overnight?
On a regular basis, yes. I mean, generally, if there was a guest that came to the studio, they would arrive on a Thursday or a Friday and stay till Sunday or Monday.
When you say guests, are you referring to female guests that would stay that long?
I am, yes.
What if instructions were you giving regarding how you were interact with the defendant female guests?
I mean, any direct rules where I did not interact with the female guests at all, none of us was allowed to. I mean, you couldn't look at them in the eyes or greet them, and then they entered the door in the building. I mean, you are not allowed to talk to them in their room. You don't, have no extra conversation. If they happen to call down to the front desk, there was basically no interaction with these girls or these guests.
Who gave you these instructions?
These instructions came from Rob.
And did you follow the instructions?
I did.
So you testified that you would get instructions from the defendant as to where to put female guests when they visit the studio. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Were there times where you escorted female various locations within the studio?
Hold on, go back. You skipped over a couple of words. Read that one more time, T-Bam.
Were there times where you escorted female guests to various locations within the studio?
As directed, as just described, yes.
So you previously testified in answering phone calls. You received calls from inside the studio from the defendant's guests. When you received the defendant's female guest calls, what types of calls would they be calling for?
I mean, it was rare that I receive a call, but the majority of the time, it was requesting food.
And if you receive a request, fair to say, just to be clear, we're talking about defendants' guests who were already inside the studio, correct?
That's correct.
And if you received a request from the defendant female guest seeking food, what, if any, were you supposed to do?
Find the location of Rob or go let him know and ask him how to proceed.
Now, in these instances in which you receive phone calls from the defendant's female guests, what if Rob wasn't available? What would you do?
Well, this scenario was not as familiar to me. but generally there would be objection.
Overruled.
Generally, there would be some other representatives of Rob's entourage in the building that I could reach out to and have them get a hold of Rob. But I don't remember, what would happen when Rob was not in the building.
You testified previously about individuals who were the defendant, including Donnie Lau and Big John. Did you communicate with them with respect to on occasions with respect to the defendant female guests?
Yes, I did. And I'm sorry, but I would like to clarify my answer on that last question. When I said I don't know, I don't remember what happened when Rob wasn't in the building. What I was referencing to, I was referring to what I would do when none of the entourage was in the building. Like if Donnie Lau or Big John were in the building. I'm sorry, could you repeat the second question?
Yes. Whether
Go
or
back.
not you had
No, no, no.
conversations with
Okay.
Donnie Lau or Big John with respect to female guests in an event that the defendant wasn't around.
Yes, occasionally one of the individuals, either Donnie Lau or Big John, will be the one to escort one of the girls in or out of the building. It wasn't always my responsibility. Sometimes it was, but they was on their own, would retrieve food or items that were requested by any of the guests.
Now, you testified that when you got such a request for food from the authorization, excuse me, let me go back. Now, you testified that when you got such a request for food from the defendant female guest that you would seek some form of authorization. What, if any, would you do if you couldn't get authorization from either the defendant or Donnie Lau or Big John?
I mean, if they was in the building or just in general.
If they were busy or if they were in the building, would you wait before acting?
This is the portion that I don't recall. I don't remember, what any procedure, if was none of them were available or I couldn't reach them.
So when you did order food and food arrived, what, if any, would you do with the food once it arrived?
So this could also be any number of scenarios where either I delivered it myself or knocked on the door and set it on the outside of the door and left, or the door was cracked and it was handed to whichever female guest was in the room. The door was not open very far. You hand it and go. No conversation, or Rob, Donnie, or Big John would deliver it themselves once it arrived.
And you mentioned that you would knock on the door and deliver the food or leave it in front of the door. Perhaps crack the door a little bit. Why did you deliver the food this manner?
Or in a manner of very little interaction.
Yes.
Because we were not allowed to interact with the guests.
Based on the rules that you said were set forth by the...
That is correct.
How would the defendant female guests interact with you, if at all, when you dropped off the food?
They would. Or anytime I did see one of them there, their eyes was like down to the ground. They wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't be a thank you or anything like that. They just seemed, I don't know, they just seemed sad. But they would take the food and close the door, and that was it.
Now, based on your observation, while working at the defendant studio, were the defendant female guests allowed to move freely around the studio?
Absolutely not.
Did you ever observe defendant female guests moving freely around?
I did not.
Were the defendant male friends and employees able to move about the studio freely?
They were, yes, unless there was a moment that was called a blackout.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, there was numerous occasions where I would get a call directly from Rob that would say, is blackout upstairs, or entire nights, or it could be for the next hour. And what a blackout is that nobody was that wasn't Donnie or Big John could be upstairs. I couldn't be down, I couldn't be upstairs. None of the other engineers could be in the hallway. It was, what's the word I'm looking for? Off limits. The area was off limits.
With respect to these blackouts withdrawn, you had previously testified that there were many times Donnie, Lyle, or Big John would escort the defendant female guests around the studio. Were there blackout moments during those times?
There was a blackout. I wasn't allowed to go upstairs. So unfortunately, I don't know if that's what was occurring upstairs.
What, if any, did you recall being told to you if the defendant female guest was going to be moved from one area to another area?
Objection. Hearsay.
Sustained as to form.
T-Bam, are you watching this on your phone?
On the TV, and this is kind of like a lagging.
Yes, big lag. Okay. Okay, you up.
It's kind of lagging from my phone.
It's lagging from the phone. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Is it on me?
Yeah, you up. Line 9.
You previously testified that there was instances in which Donnie Lau or Big John would escort the defendant females guests through the studio. Would you interact with the defendant female guest?
You got cut off like a whole sentence.
I think it may be my phone.
Yeah, you got a real bad connection.
It's raining in my area.
Huh? Oh, it's raining in your area? Okay. Go Go ahead and finish. Start with would you
Yes.
interact?
Would you interact with the defendant female guests when they were being moved through the studio?
No, not at all.
Now, you testified that what, if any, would you hear from the defendant employees or the defendant himself about where you should be when the defendant female get moved through the studio?
Same objection.
All right, overruled.
I mean, if I knew that there was a blackout period, which is the moment in time when there was movement upstairs, I was required to stay in my seat downstairs by the phone.
Movements by female guests?
Correct.
Now, you previously testified that some of the defendant's guests, female guests, will be escorted to stay in various rooms, including lounges throughout the studio. Do the rooms used as lounges also have beds in them?
I don't believe they did. No.
And you also said that
let's
female
do
guests
this.
couldn't move freely around the studio. So if,
Hold
for
on,
example,
T-Bam,
the female guests needed to use...
Hold real quick. Let's switch just because I know you got a delay.
Use the bathroom.
Rain. Can you hear me, T-Bam? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Let's switch. I want to switch you and Tanya out. Tanya, can you switch back to the government? And
sure.
If you could read the court, because that way it won't be as much, and it won't be cutting off and stuff like that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. So go ahead and pick up Tanya right up where it says Q, right where I say, I don't believe they did. No.
And you also said that female guests couldn't move freely around the studio. So if, for example, the female guest needed to use the bathroom, what would happen?
I mean, if they were able to talk to Rob, then they would likely, let me retract. Now, let me retract that. But I don't know that. This would be, I guess, another one of those scenarios where I believe I stated before that I testified before that it was generally only food calls that came down. I mean, I could occasionally get a call saying I need to use the restroom, and the process will be the same.
They would be escorted by someone to the bathroom?
Objection. That's you, T-Bam. You the court.
Sustain as to form.
That's still you, T-Bam. That's still you, T-Bam.
Did she leave? I think somebody left.
Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay, I'll read it. Sustain as to form. Did you ever get these calls from somebody who wanted to go to the bathroom? Yeah. That's yes. And what happened if a female guest was calling to say, saying that she wanted to go to the bathroom? Oh, I'm sorry. Are you saying that you got calls at the desk? I did. From a female guest that said she needed to use the bathroom. Yes. Did you escort the person? I was never allowed to escort that person. Well, what did you do when you got the calls? Oh, the same process with the food request. I mean, the paper have the person calling and what the request was, and you would deliver that piece of paper to Rob, and he would handle it. Okay, next question.
Were there any bathrooms on the first floor of the studio?
I believe I recall one towards the back of the first floor, but not on the main area up front.
And did any of the bathrooms have showers in them at the studio?
The bathroom on the second floor at the end of the hallway did have a bathroom, yes.
I'm showing you what's in evidence as Government Exhibit 525F. Do you recognize that?
I do. That's okay, T-Bam. It's okay. I understand you're in the middle of the other stuff. I get it. Oh, I understand. Thank you, T-Bam, for coming in. I appreciate you, sis. Thank you. Go ahead.
And what is that?
Oh, that is the bathroom that's at the end of the hallway, the standalone bathroom with regular studio hallway access, not within a room.
And looking at the leftmost portion of the photograph, is that...
Okay, one moment. What's up, Riri?
Hey, what's happening? You guys need some help?
Yes, please. Can you jump in? You could do the court.
All right, I got
You'll
you.
be the judge.
Thanks, Riri.
Thank you, Riri.
You're welcome.
All right, go ahead, Tanya.
And looking at the leftmost portion of this photograph, is that the shower that you were referring to?
Yeah, that is the shower, yes.
You testified that the defendant's female guests were not able to come freely about the studio or move freely about the studio. What did you observe about whether the defendant's female guests were able to leave the studio?
I mean, since they was never allowed freely in the hallways, I don't believe it ever got to a point where they could just freely walk around. Objection.
Sustain.
You testified that individuals employed with the defendant would escort the defendant's female guests around the studio. Do you recall testifying about that?
Yes.
Were they also escorted when they left the studio?
I mean, they would have been, yes. Objection. The answer is yes.
During your time working at the...
Did you make an objection?
I did, yes.
Okay. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The objection is overruled.
During your time working at the studio, did you ever observe the defendant going into the room where some of the female guests were staying in the studio?
Yes.
And were there any occasion when you had an opportunity to hear anything after the defendant entered a room with a female guest?
Yes.
What, if anything, did you hear while the defendant was in a room with the female guests?
Even though it was formerly a recording studio and the walls, ideally are soundproof, the volume involved of the two different scenarios could be heard throughout the halls.
What did you hear?
I heard sexual activity and yelling.
Who was yelling?
Rob?
Was the defendant married during any period of time that you worked for him?
Yes. He was married the entire time. Yes.
Did the defendant's wife visit the studio?
She did. Yes.
At times when the defendant's wife came to the studio, were there times when the defendant had female guests there?
Yes.
What, if any, responsibilities did you have when the defendant's wife came to the studio?
I mean, wife Rob had a personal assistant that drove her around, and she would call me in advance of the process and let me know, that she was on the way.
And what did you do once you learned that the defendant's wife was coming to the studio?
I mean, as soon as I received this information, I worked a fast, as I could to take one of those pieces of paper and write it down. Important. His wife's code name was important. So I wrote down important and 15 minutes away, and I bought it as fast as I could, can up Rob to find out whether he is and hand it to him.
And then what would happen? Or why would you write important and deliver a message like that to the defendant?
Because I mean, it was an alert to Rob that his wife was coming, so that there were no young guests available in the hallway, and that he was available to meet with her.
Generally speaking, strike that. So turning your attention to rooms used as lounges at the defendant's studio, what, if anything, do you recall about the lighting in those rooms?
I mean, it was rare that we got to observe these rooms, but what I could see on moments of the door being cracked was very low lighting. There was one or two of the rooms like Christmas lights, and white and warm white light Christmas lights strung on the back wall. And there was also in every one of the rooms a battery-powered LED Coleman remote control lantern light.
And who had the remote controls for those lights?
Rob carried the remotes around, and he would activate the remote before entering the room.
Now, you mentioned Christmas lights. How often were those Christmas lights up?
Year-round.
While you were working at the studio, were there any rooms throughout the studio with locks on the doors?
There would be locks on the front door, the offices, the IT room, bathrooms, and there's one I know. That is what I know. The extent of what I know.
And with respect to the offices, could any of these be locked from the outside?
I seem to recall that offices like Tom's office could be locked, and just with a key.
Fair to say that there may be other types of rooms in the studio that had locks on them, but you don't necessarily, because of the passage of time, approximately 17 years, that you may not recall every room that had locks on it.
Objection. Exactly.
Sustain.
Do you recall whether or not there was a copy machine at the studio?
I don't recall.
How long did you work for the defendant at his studio at Larrabee Street?
For 1 year.
And I believe you testified that you stopped working there in approximately May or June of 2004.
That's accurate.
And why did you stop working there?
It was a number of reasons. I mean, it had become clear that, as I testified earlier, I wanted a career in this industry. That way, it seems to become an engineer in the industry. As you start as an intern, you move up to assistant engineer, and then you move up to head engineer or lead engineer, rather. None of this ever happened, after a whole entire year. And, I never reached a single piece of audio equipment. I had the experience running pieces of paper, warning that his wife was coming, to make sure that his wife didn't see the girls in and out of the studio. He was angry all the time, and I was nervous. I mean, when I first came in, because I finally had an opportunity to look at him, look him in the eye. Your Honor, I'm going to object to.
Sustain. Don't say anything.
Okay. Damn.
Could I see the parties at the side, please?
Oh, oh, here we go.
Sidebar.
Let's get it. Sidebar time.
Yeah.
What is going on?
I don't know. I did not expect. My question was not to elicit that.
How much more do you have with him?
Literally 3 more questions.
Okay, let's end it. I'm going to instruct the jury to disregard. Not that much came out yet. And I'm just going to instruct him just to answer the questions that you are asking.
Thank you, Your Honor. Whoa, hold on. We got to go back. We got to see. Oh, what the hell just happened? Okay.
I'm over here sweating. Oh.
Nicholas went, damn.
You went crazy.
Okay, let me read this one more time. Okay. So she said, why did you quit? Here he go. Well, it was a number of reasons. It had become clear that, as I testified earlier, I wanted a career in this industry. I mean, the way it works to become an engineer in this industry, you start as an intern, you move up to an assistant engineer, and then you move up to head engineer or lead engineer, rather. None of this ever happened, you know, and after a year there, entire year there, you know, I never touched a single piece of audio equipment. I had to experience running pieces of paper, warning that his wife was coming to make sure his wife didn't see girls in and out of the studio. He was angry all the time, and I was nervous when I first came in because I finally had an opportunity to look at him, look him in the eye. Good God.
That was a roller coaster ride.
He went damn.
Babysit little girls.
Man, he went ham. Okay. Oh, man.
I like the elevation in the tone.
Oh, man. Hey, listen. He
That was
went
good.
ham, didn't he?
Woo!
All right, let's keep it going, y'all. Let's keep it going.
250 or 3549.
Let's go 3549. Top of 3549. In court, in open court, sidebar ends.
Okay, folks, I'm going to instruct you to disregard the last little bit, and I'm going to instruct the witness, please just answer the questions that are being asked, okay? All right. Thank you so much. All right, go ahead.
After you stop.
Oh, can I say something?
No, you can't. That's not the way it works. The assistant U.S. Sorry.
Imagine, oh
Okay,
my
I'm sorry. All right, I got myself. Miss Cruz Melendez, can you please do that again?
Yes, Your Honor. After you stop.
Can I say something?
No, you can't. That is not the way it works. The assistant United States attorney will ask you questions and just answer the questions that she's asking you. Go ahead.
After you stopped working for the defendant, what, if anything, happened to the building where the defendant's studio was?
Eventually, the building was demolished.
And approximately when was that?
It would have been shortly after I left.
Nothing further.
All right. Cross-examination.
Yes. Oh, shit. Use that language, y'all. Okay. Man. Hey, this about to get real interesting. All right.
You got to do Kanex and Nicholas or what?
Who's going to be Nick now?
Bounce back and forth.
You're going to go back.
All right. It's about to be funny.
Man.
Once I gotta wait, I gotta wash my hand, get me a paper towel, but this is giving me some wet.
Here we go. So now this is Kanex cross-examination on Nicholas Williams. Okay. Did you do you see the location after the building was demolished? Oh, I have seen it, yes. Did you see it when it was, or was it, when was it that you saw that location? Oh, when did I see, that is what replaced it? After the building was demolished. Yes. When was it that you saw the building in a demolished state? Oh, I didn't see the building demolished. Okay. You talked about blackouts. What is a blackout? Oh, repeat, please. You testified and told the jury about a blackout. Do you remember telling us that? Yes. What is a blackout? Oh, what was a blackout? Yes. I mean, that none of the employees were, none of the employees that was not a part of Rob's entourage was allowed upstairs. How do you know who was moving if they weren't allowed upstairs? Oh, I do not know. Yeah, because the movement was upstairs, right? Yeah. And you were supposed to be downstairs, am I correct? Yes. And you were supposed to stay there, Am I correct? Oh, that's correct. And you didn't know what was going on upstairs. Am I correct? I did not know. When you work for the front, because you work at the front desk, you work pretty much as a receptionist. Am I correct? Oh, that's accurate. Yes. When you first started, you started as an intern. Am I correct? That's correct. And within 3 months, you got to offer the job position. Am I correct? Correct. And you were offered minimum wage. Am I correct? Oh, less than that because they were not paying overtime. Oh my gosh, y'all. So this dude worked 15, 16-hour days and didn't get overtime.
Not worth
No,
it.
and then remember some of the days would be longer because he said
Yeah, it's working
He
like
had
almost
a
20
lot of
hours
that
a
people
day.
were coming late.
Wow. All right, let's keep it going. Okay, well, you were offered minimum wage for the hours you worked. Am I correct? I believe the minimum wage was at that time $6.15.
Wow. You
Right.
didn't even get minimum wage.
And you were paid $6. $6. And then you spoke, and then that spoke to that offer was made to you, and you accepted that offer. Am I correct? Yeah, I did. Yes. And you worked there for another 9 months. Am I correct? That's correct. During that 9 months that you worked there, did you ever have any exchange or conversation with any of the engineers? On a regular basis, yes. On a regular basis. And after having exchanges with them on a regular basis, you were not offered a job as an engineer. Am I correct? Engineers are not. Am I correct, sir? I was not, no. Okay. And isn't it a fact, sir, that you never got an opportunity to work with them after speaking with them for 9 months? Oh, that is what I testified, yes. And they would, or you didn't even handle their equipment. Am I correct? Correct. Now, you testified and told the jury that Mr. Kelly's female guests couldn't move freely around the building. Do you remember telling us that? Yes. Well, no one could. Am I correct? None of his guests could. Well, that's not true because any music artists or actors that came to see him was able to freely move about the building. And when you say actors, you're talking about folks like who are A-list actors coming to visit with him. Am I correct? That's correct. All right. Did his friends move around the building?
Whose friends?
Mr. Kelly's. Well, what friends would these be besides the music artists and actors that I just stated? You testified and told us that he had other friends visiting and other folks visiting him. Am I correct? That's correct. Okay, so does his trainer move freely around the building? Yes. Okay, where did his trainer go? I'm sorry. Where did his trainer generally go around the building? Oh, the trainer, he would like most of the time be in the training room upstairs. Right. Would you see him in the training room? If I went up to deliver a message to Rob, yes. But that's only if you went upstairs to deliver a message. Am I correct? Oh, that I would see him in the training room? Yes. Because your job was to stay at the receptionist desk until Rob or Mr. Kelly received a message. Am I correct? Well, that's not true at all. I was not required to stay there unless there was a blackout. Were you allowed to go upstairs? Absolutely, yes. And when you went upstairs, did you see any of his male guests moving around? Sure, yeah. You did? Yeah. So the only people you didn't see moving around was female guests. That's correct. And do you know if he had managers? The only manager that I was aware of was Don Russell. Oh, shit.
Yep.
Oh. So it's true when he went on the camera and said he was his manager, some of the people that worked with him saw him as a manager too.
Mm-hmm.
How many people have y'all heard on YouTube that said that Don Russell was not his manager?
Hmm.
So
Wow.
many.
Wow. Dana J, I hope you're watching and listening to these transcripts, buddy. Here we go. Now you moved. Now when you moved around, did you knock on doors that you moved around? When you went from one room to the next, did you knock on the door? Most of the area that I resided in. That's not my question. My question is, when you, I didn't, knocked on the door. Oh, that's the wrong question. I didn't knock on any doors. Oh my gosh. This dude. Okay. Oh shit.
The wrong question.
I like him.
Woo!
It's entertaining.
Who's
Here
the
we
Lord?
go. Here we
I
go.
could just see Nicholas sneaking upstairs when it's a blackout,
Oh,
trying
you
not
know-
to be seen on the cameras.
He knew what would happen. He knew.
what's gonna happen.
Say you ain't pay me my money.
I don't know. You don't pay me enough to stay downstairs.
Right.
Here go Kanex.
Mhm.
Don't
Lord.
tell me it's the wrong question.
Mr. Kanex, let's take it down a notch, please. Put another question to the witness.
When you went from one room to the next, did you knock on the door? I did not go from room to room. You never, when you walked into a room to find Mr. Kelly, did you knock on the door? No. When you walked to find the trainer in the training room, did you knock on that door? The door was open. So there was never a time that the door was closed. Not the training room. Any other room that you walked in to see, let's say, Tom, did you knock on the door? If the door was closed. Now, Tom was a manager. Am I correct? Correct. Well, where was Tom's office in relationship to yours? Directly next door. And he would have his door open. Most of the time, yes. And you just walk right in. Yes. Now you testified about getting food for Mr. Kelly's female guest. Did you get food for anyone else? I would get food for Mr. Kelly and for, if any of the music artists requested it, I would, get food for Big John and Donnie. What about artists who were visiting him? If there was an artist, that was with him and they requested food also, yes. What about if a record label executive was there? I'm sorry? A record label executive. Did you get food for that person as well? Yes. And when the record label executive were in the building, were you able to move around? I don't recall a record label executive in the building. Don't recall that, right? I don't. Okay, but you do recall actors in the building. Yes. And were you able to move around when actors were in the building? Yes. You were able to move around when other artists were in the building? Yes. Now, were you able, you testified and told the jury that you were not allowed to have any interaction with Mr. Kelly's female guest. Am I correct? That's correct. Were you allowed to have interactions with any of these artists who visited? Yes. You would walk up. Which artists? Tyrese Gibson, B2K, when they was coming up. Beyonce was there at one point. Regarding actors, Sylvester Stallone was there. Members of Cash Money Millionaires was there. And I interacted with all of them. You interacted with all of them. Yeah. What was that interaction? Well, that interaction required, being allowed, to great individuals. So your interaction was good morning. If it was morning, yeah.
I'm dead. I'm dead.
Oh my God.
I think that we're just like, everybody's like holding their laps and just get to a point where you just can't hold it no more.
Yeah. And it seems like I get from him, he's one of them dudes that tells the truth no matter what. He ain't gonna lie for you.
Yeah.
Right.
He ain't gonna lie. He ain't gonna perjure himself for nobody.
Right.
All right, here we go.
I don't even think he get what Kanex is even trying to the point Kanex trying to get. He just answering the question.
He just answering the question like he's supposed to.
Yep.
Here we go. Or good evening. If it was evening, yes. Nothing more than that. Or you could talk to him, say, how you doing? I'm not asking whether you could talk to them. I'm asking about your interaction. I was able to interact more than that. Yes. How often would you see Mr. Kelly on a daily basis? I mean, it varied. I could see him for 3 to I could not see him for 3 to 4 days, or I could see him 5 to 10 times a night throughout the night. What were your hours? My hours was 10 p.m. until 12 noon the following day. Did you see him during the hours of 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.? Occasionally, yes. Artists like to record at night. I beg your pardon? Artists like to record at night. So, yes, I'm not asking you what artists like to do. I'm asking you whether you saw him. Yes. During what hours? Well, isn't it a fact that those were the hours that he played basketball every night? That is not true. That is not true. Do you know him to play basketball? Yes. Did he play basketball every night?
Objection.
Overruled.
I don't know. Do you know where he played basketball? He played basketball a number of locations, but I don't know what the locations are. And do you know who he played with? I don't know everybody he played with. No. Name me one person he played with. Oh, I believe he always, he went with an individual by the name of Junebug. You believe he always played with an individual by the name of Junebug? Yes. And where do you know, or what time he and Junebug would go to leave? I didn't keep track of their hours, no. Now, what time would he come back in? What time would he normally be in the studio at? Would he normally be in the studio at night? There was no normal times. There was no normal times. And when you would see him go to a basketball game, it would just be he and Junebug who would go. It could vary, but generally Big John went with him everywhere. Okay. But just those two. Oh, I can say, I say it can vary. Well, who? When? You? I don't know who else would go with him. But I know, that he would go with his entourage. Well, I mean, if he didn't leave the building with an entourage, he would meet people outside the facility. Did he have live-in girlfriends? I don't know the answer to that. Isn't it a fact that he went to play basketball every night and his live-in girlfriends would go with him? I don't know. May I have a second, please, Your Honor?
Sure. Pausing proceedings.
You wanted to be an engineer. I did, yes. Didn't work out for you. That's correct. Thank you.
Anything else from the government?
Just very briefly. After working at the defendant's studio, were you able to work in the music industry in other studios?
Did you say after or before?
after?
Afterwards, no.
Did you work in other studios or with other artists after working with the defendant?
I did not work for studios. I ended up moving to live sound.
And so you continued to work in the music industry.
I did, yes.
On cross-examination, defendant's counsel asked you about how often you might see the defendant. How often did you deliver messages to the defendant?
Well, I can't put a number on the number of times but that I will deliver a message to him. But if he was in the building, it will be numerous times throughout any shift.
And I believe defense counsel on cross-examination asked you questions about knocking on doors before entering to be able to get to Rob.
That's correct.
From where you were in reception, what route would you take to get to the recording area where Rob might be?
I mean, most of my travels in that building were always.
Nothing further.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Kanex?
Not at all.
All right. The witness can step down. The witness is excused. Thank God.
Woo, woo.
3563. Y'all please put in the chat 3563 was where we stopped. So we went from 3501 to 3563. Oh my gosh, today was fun.
Yeah. Sure.
This guy is a doggone trip.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That was good.
He had to be a nightmare for them.
Yeah, I could imagine him.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
No. Oh, wow.
I could imagine him being one of those witnesses, like sitting back in the stand, kind of scratching his head or whatever. Like, shit, I want to.
I don't know. Like, I really could. Look, let me tell y'all something. He is a defense's or a prosecutor's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
You ain't kidding, because when Kanex was asking him like about the movement around in the studio, that did not work out so well for Kanex on that at all.
Not at all.
You see, listen, here's the thing. You got some. So Kanex could have potentially destroyed this guy if he would have been the type of guy that lied. But dude didn't lie.
Yeah.
He told the truth no matter what. So when you got somebody who don't have nothing to cover up, it's hard to trip up.
Right.
And then Kanex was trying to, like, I felt like he was trying to trip him up, like kind of swag him off his game, because he kept asking him some question that was like redundant.
Yep.
And just saying things off the wall. The nigga was like, nah, I don't know.
No, dude told him that's the wrong question. Yo, that pissed Kanex off. Don't you tell me that's the wrong question.
Oh man.
Man, listen.
But you know, another thing with Nicholas too was Nicholas wasn't with Rob for a long extended period of time.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, so it wasn't like anything to try to get mixed up with what happened this year versus what happened that year, what happened before this tour, what happened after. You know, he didn't have that long of a period of time there. So like Adams is saying, he tells the truth. So all he had was that little 12-month span to tell his truth off of his little $6 an hour. You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing y'all got to think about. Like, it further gives evidence to the fact that RKelly, he looked and searched for people who were young and didn't have that mental sharpness, or their minds weren't fully developed to understand what was happening to them. Or a lot of people he worked with were people who had mental dysfunctions, like himself. You know?
I have a question.
Yeah.
About that. Not about that, but about this testimony. So this guy had said that Don Russell was a manager in 2003. I thought Don Russell came about later. So was he been around this whole time?
I guess so. I mean,
wow, that's crazy.
You ain't gonna just put his name out there on no oath, you know.
Right.
Now the only thing I would say is possible that maybe it could have been a typo where he could have been saying Donnie Lyles and it's Don Russell, but I doubt it.
No, because he said Donnie Lyle was just an engineer. He said Tom Arnold was the engineer manager, the manager, right? The studio manager.
Dynamite said he came back twice.
Okay. I didn't know.
Hey, Daddy's girl, how you doing? Hey, Belle Louise.
See, you know what? I learned so much.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying how much I've been learning from these transcripts on top of what.
Me too.
You know,
right. One of the things that I learned from the transcripts, when you listen to all the ladies, the girls at that time, is one of the things that I think RKelly did to find out whether or not you were going to be the type of girl, or even some of them, a couple of them that were grown women, that he was going to be able to manipulate, was how long he left them sitting there. Every single one of them had to always start off with sitting there, because a lot of women would have been like, okay, look, you had me fly all the way out here to come visit you, and now you're not ready. If this not a good time, you know, tell me what time I'll meet you back up here. I'm about to go to the store. I'm about to go do this or that. Or if this ain't a good time, I'm going back home. Indeed. You know, but he was able to pick out those girls who just sat there for hours and days in waiting for him. And he knew that those were the ones that he was going to be able to just go in there and just immediately start having sex with and just get his way with them. That was part of his whole grooming. Yeah, that was part of his whole grooming session.
Yeah, and I have a question or observation too. Like going back to where the witness said that he would write down important, because that would mean that Drea was his wife. Wait, so I mean, it's probably already been answered, but does that mean that she has herpes too? Because I mean, I'm sure they were having, you know, what?
They had 3 kids together. They got 3 kids. They got 3 kids, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. And if she did, she probably wouldn't put it out here, because 9 times you put 1 + 1, it only equals 2, right?
Right.
I mean, he was probably having, and he was going back and forth between the girls and his. But the fact that Nicholas was put in, first of all, you got to think about this. Nicholas seems to be the type of person who he was a little bit slow. Okay. And he did exactly what he was told to do. Listen, when my wife calls, you write this down and come bring it to me. That is your responsibility. I don't want you thinking about playing no equipment. I don't want you thinking about being no engineer. This is what you're going to do for $6 a damn hour, which is under minimum wage, and you're gonna love it. And no, you ain't getting no overtime. He said, okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, thinking about minimum wage, I was thinking back to 2004 when I was working for one of my jobs. I started off at like $5 and then $5.15 and then $5.30, and I left because, you know, I was Nicholas. You know, you ain't gonna pay me any less than what, you know, what I'm worth, you know.
Yeah, and he just seemed like he was just the type of person that, you know, he was trying to get that opportunity to move on up after he, you know, finished his education. So they do the internship, they get their foot in the door, you know, just to get their foot in the door. Okay, you want me to play receptionist? I'll play receptionist for a minute just so that I can become an engineer. But if those engineer spots aren't moving, you know what I'm saying, and they're not going anywhere, then you don't have opportunity. It's time to move on.
Exactly. That makes a lot of sense. But there are some people, y'all, I'm just going to let y'all know, there are some people that will do whatever they got to do in order to get to where they got to get to, especially in the music industry. People will degrade themselves. People will do things that they would have never done in normal life just to get to where they want to go in the music industry. And he was that tight that was like, you know what? I'll continue to sit here and do what he tell me for the chance to work for him on the music. That was his dream. And so he was willing to sacrifice that. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know about you guys, but I've been in those jobs where, like, you're like, oh, this is what my goal is, and they're like, okay, we're gonna get there, but first you just got to do this, and then are we ready yet? Can I move yet? No, not just yet, but so they're probably come along as long as they could.
And the danger with jobs like that is a lot of times you get so good at doing what nobody else wants to do that they won't move you.
Right.
That's the crazy part.
And I mean, that receptionist job, you kind of have to, or whatever, you're answering those phones, and you just kind of have to be that person that is kind of either doesn't care about gossip or business, because that, if you want to be in he wants everybody quiet about everything. So if you're talking about who's calling in and what they're going on, where this,
what do y'all think about?
Kind of like didn't care. He just does his job.
Let's dig a little bit into this blackout thing.
Yeah,
that was hiding in plain sight. All those adults over there knew what the heck was going on.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All those adults knew exactly what was going on blackout time. You can't go upstairs and they know that the girls are all upstairs. Come on now.
Yeah, and another observation, even though we already know, is that whenever Nicholas wrote down important, and he said that RKelly knew that, he had to hurry up and, shuffle and muffle and get out the way. I'm trying to watch my words. So, get out the way so he wouldn't be caught by his wife. So that's another thing that, I'm doing something wrong. I know I'm doing something wrong because I don't want to be caught by my wife.
And who's to say that there was not blackout time when Drea ended up coming to the studio, and that guy, they had to shut it down up there.
Yeah.
And then when they were talking about the girls and the basketball games, and I remember him talking about there was no public entrance other than the entrance that went upstairs. Who's to say that the girls didn't come outside from upstairs exit, whatever, when he didn't see them, Could have been.
Yeah.
I do believe that there are some, even during blackout, I think there was some kind of activity still kind of going on. I just keep envisioning Drea on the documentary when she would say, in reference to like she didn't know, or she a lot of times she was even locked in the room, with his
she had a knock too. Yeah, that's true.
Right. That's crazy.
Now here's the
thing. Drea did say like she didn't understand it. She didn't, and that that's the reason why. I mean, that's a lot of things that they do in the entertainment industry. They do have those code words, and they do have those things to hide all the facts so that the wives are not finding out what's going on, and it's right there up underneath their nose. Like there was times that somebody, I don't remember if it's a documentary or just one of the girls talking or something. I think it might have just been one of the girls talking, and she was saying that there would be times where he would fly them out and they would be in a hotel and they would be getting escorted to their rooms, and they would see Drea with her personal assistant and they're with somebody else, but the Drea don't know what's going on.
You know what I think is happening, y'all? There was a lot of questions that the government has been asking these witnesses, and I'm like, why is that? Why are they asking that question? Why are they asking that question? Don't be surprised if this blackout thing don't come up in the Chicago case. I think you're gonna hear about that. I'm thinking that it's possible. I don't know for sure, but Drea might have to testify in the Chicago case.
It would make sense because that's more her time period when we're there. Yeah.
Right. And I always felt like, like when they did get a divorce and she like was on, I forgot the name of the show she was on, Hollywood Exes or something like that. And everybody was kind of like surprised, like, wait a minute, R. Kelly was married, he had kids. But then I kind of, like, I think that he got married to her during that trial period just to try to cover up. And she was just like a beard. You know what I'm saying? Like they're over here trying to put these charges on me for child pornography, but I'm married. I'm a married man and I got kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not me. And I really think that was the whole reason why he married her, because he only married Aaliyah because he thought she was pregnant. He married, and I believe he married Drea just to be a beard during that doggone trial, because he ain't married nobody else after that all these years.
Right.
But this was the first time that I found out, because I thought he only had kids by Drea. I didn't know he had one with the Summer Buddy.
Yeah.
I heard people say that she had lost that baby. Because I was trying to figure that out. I don't know if she did or not, or if it's true. But nobody ever talks about Summer. And so I don't know her story. Does anyone?
And his brother also said that he had a baby by one of his family members.
His niece.
Yeah.
One of his cousins or something like that.
Yeah, and I think that it was his niece, because I was trying to listen to that whole interview again last night that Carrie was talking about. And the lady that was interviewing him, I am not mentioning nobody else's names, but the lady that was interviewing him had asked him, okay, do you think that he had sex with her to get back, like with the person that was molesting the two of you? Like, is the girl, is she related to the person that was molesting the two of you? And at the time, Carrie was referencing their sister Teresa, but he didn't want to say her name on this particular interview. But he did say, yes, he could have been, because that niece is related to that person. So I'm wondering if that was his sister Teresa's child that he's talking about, his niece.
Do y'all think Belle Louise has a question? Do you think he actually loved Drea, y'all? Ain't no way. I think he was more seduced. I think that she seduced him with being able to do all them magical tricks with her legs and her vagina and all that kind of stuff. And it turned him on so much, he said, oh yeah, I'm wifing you up. And plus she was talented. So she served different purposes, probably teaching his dancers how to dance. And, he probably felt that, and I don't know, I'm just, allegedly, but I'm thinking that he was, that she seduced him. And he was like, okay, yeah, you know what? You fit the criteria. You would be able to pass the age category.
She's teeny tiny too. She's teeny tiny.
Yes, she was.
Still looks young.
Yeah.
And yeah, she can move any which way. I don't think it's possible for him to love anyone but him, to be honest.
I don't think so.
Y'all gotta help me out, because I might be slow. What is a beard?
A cover up.
A cover up.
Beard is a cover up. Okay.
I like that. I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, I never heard that before either.
I think I'm gonna use that. I'm stealing that.
I just think that Drea was just a cover up for him going through that trial, to be able to say, look, I am a married man with kids. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm into. And then when she found out all that was going on, started finding out and figuring out, and she left the situation, I think that was kind of eye-opening for her. But I always believed that she was just a cover-up for that trial.
Hey y'all, Miss Darlene April calling in. So hold on. Let's listen to what she got to say. Hold on.
Can I join the panel?
Yes, sure. The link is at the top.
Put it in there again.
Okay, hold on. Let me paste it. There we go. It's in there. Go ahead and hit it. Okay. Bye-bye. All right, y'all. Miss Darlene April's coming on. She actually knows RKelly personally.
Okay.
My family knows him. So y'all can stay on the panel. She's going to join the panel too.
Okay.
I just said facts. Go ahead.
I had another flashback just listening to, allegedly, to some of the interviews that Drea did and her testimony and everything. And I thought I remember her saying that there were times when she wanted to commit suicide for her and her children. So my question is, I know there could be talks on both sides of the spectrum that, yeah, she probably did know something or have an inclination, not to know exactly what was going on as far as like with how old these girls were or whatever. But I think she did believe he had like he was in an entanglement. I do believe that.
She could have believed it and accepted. I mean, that's part of the entertainment industry, sports industry. They all know that those guys are messing with other women, and they just go on and accept it. And you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't.
We got Miss April Showers on. Miss April Showers, hello.
Hi, Miss April.
Hello, everyone. Hello, my OCOV family.
Hello.
Oh my God, Atlas. What you said about Drea
Mm-hmm.
is 100% true.
Mm.
She auditioned for him. She know what she did.
Mm.
She knew the things that would get robbed. And yes,
Mm.
she did everything. And he married her.
Mm.
Drea, I'm going to tell you something. I hate anybody that enabled him. I want to make that clear. Drea knew what was going on.
Mm.
She knew.
Mm.
Drea used to recruit women for him. I do know that to be 100% fact truth.
Mm.
Fuck Drea.
Mm. Mm. Somebody said, Karen Johnson said he married Drea before Rashana. Rashana was their goddaughter, and she.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. He was married to Drea long before Rashana.
Mm.
You know. Fuck Drea. And anybody else that enabled him. I hate them all. I'm dealing with that. These are things I'm dealing with that because I don't know. I hate the actions that they did
Right.
because I don't hate people. God done let me live. Yesterday on my show, I want to make it clear. I was talking about the Chicago case. You know, RKelly Chicago case is coming up. I'm not prepared for this, but he is still innocent until proven guilty. And in the court of law, and the victims are alleged according to the law. I was not trying to victim bash anybody. I've never talked about one person. I let people know how I feel about one person. So I'm sorry if that offended anybody. But I was talking about the Chicago case. I'm not prepared for the Chicago case.
Mm.
I think the Chicago case is going to, you know, be very detrimental. They've got all videos and everything. And I am mentally preparing myself for all of this. But my God, when you said everything you said about Dre, I'm like, oh my God, he was 100% true about that. She knew what to do to get him.
Mm-hmm.
She knew what to do to get him. Fuck Drea. She recruited women for him. And, you know, fuck her.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for you. Since you're so close to it, and you said 100%, you were actually able to witness some of the things that Drea did.
No. Ma'am, I used to be at Michael Jordan's restaurant in different places. And I can remember people saying that she would come into these places and people would say, that's RKelly wife. She's
Mm-hmm.
she's looking for women. The Cotton Club and different things. I really didn't pay it that much attention. Because I didn't know then, but I do know what was said to me when she came in these places.
Okay, thank you.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Miss April, you know that you are the only person who loves R. Kelly the way you do, that we allow to come over and speak your mind. No matter what you say, you get a pass because we know you're genuine, you know, and you're a fair thinking person. But this Chicago case is gonna be, in my opinion, I don't know. I think it's 10 times worse than New York.
I also was told by somebody that I can't support him and his victim, and I told him you're full of shit.
Why can't you?
Right. I it's sad. I've never victim bashed anybody. I made my comment on one person. I've never come on here disrespecting anybody that talked about him. I've never did that. I've said, to me, they're all guilty, and I say I pray for them all. And to be told that was very hurtful. You know, I support the person I know. I had my cousin on the show yesterday, and it was funny because we just knew him as one person. I never asked her until yesterday. I said, because, you know, these are some hard pills to swallow for me. And I had my cousin come in the show, and I asked her, and I said, this is weird that I'm asking you this, because, we just knew him as Rob. But did he go to high school? She named the high school, but she said that he didn't go to her high school. I have been fair, objective. I've looked at the case through everybody's eyes. I'm not going to hate anybody. I'm not going to hate him. I'm not going to talk about the people. And that's just all I do. And I tell people, like, I can't relate to some of this stuff that has gone on. But I also have to remember everybody isn't me, and that these were minors. So bear with me as I go through this process. But yet you have not heard me say, they're a slut, they're this. I've never disrespected any of the victims.
Right.
The New York case, that was proven those were victims. In legal terms in Chicago, they are still alleged. Everybody says, they're victims, they know. But by the law, the newspaper said, and I didn't mean to offend anybody. I think people were so upset. I'm not prepared for Chicago. I've had some hard pills to swallow. And another thing too, Drea didn't raise them kids, her grandparents, her parents. And Rob was in his kid's life. She was too busy in Hollywood trying to do other things. Drea is, you got in this, you went along with this, but then you piss because, and don't get me wrong, if that was his wife, he should have acknowledged her. She should have been walking the red carpet with him.
Right. Now, y'all, just so y'all understand, Miss April does know that we do support Drea 100%. We do stand in her corner.
Yeah.
And we believe, you know, that he treated her like scum.
Right. Right. And that's what I'm saying. Now, don't get me wrong. That was his wife.
Right.
He should have acknowledged her. She should have been on the red carpet with him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because that was his wife. I don't condone some of the things and things that I'm hearing. And I'm speaking about them. You know.
There's a message here from Rob B that says, I'm in Chicago, grew up in Chicago, and everyone here has always known Kels loves young girls. He was at all our high schools at one point in time back in the 90s. He was always at the plaza.
And so then everybody knew. Everybody knew. And this the problem I have is nothing was done.
Right.
No, you know, you telling me a whole city knew that he was doing this and nobody did nothing. That's sad. That's sad.
Well, hopefully he gets some help while he's, you know, in prison.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
I'm saying free RKelly when he gets help.
Yeah.
And sometimes God humbles people too.
Yeah.
God will humble you.
He does humble people.
He will humble you where you can sit back, you know, and it ain't a good humble, but he will humble you.
Yeah, Miss Karen Johnson said, I believe Drea was manipulated into darkness like his other victims. I believe she was a victim of the evil life she shared with him. I agree, Karen Johnson. I agree. You know, and Miss April know where we stand. She know where we stand.
Oh yeah, you know, but I'm just and like I said, as his wife,
yeah,
you know, he should have not disrespected her. I don't believe in men beating women.
Hell no.
You know, he should have had her on the red carpet with him. You know.
Yeah.
That was horrible that he never acknowledged her as his wife.
Yes, ma'am.
It was horrible. That, you know, that's horrible. He never acknowledged her as his wife. And if you did all of this stuff, you know, I just feel bad for everybody involved.
Right.
But I will call out the wrongness that I see. And he should have acknowledged his wife.
Right.
Well, do you also believe that he was wrong, Miss April?
Yes. I just said he should have acknowledged his wife. He was wrong by not doing that.
I'm sorry, I meant like wrong with him being with all these girls.
Ma'am, if those are the actions, that is wrong behavior. This is not the person that I know. And I'm not, and as a friend, you know, that, you know, I'm finding out all of this stuff. I knew him from setting up listening parties to being a family friend, and I had never heard of these things. These things are hard pills to swallow. I do not condone that behavior, but I'm not getting ready to publicly bash him.
Right. So what she's saying, Riri, is that she knew from what she saw. It's kind of like if you had a cousin and you and your cousin, y'all talk 24 hours a day. When he come around, y'all exchange money. Y'all go out to the clubs. Y'all go drinking. And one day you hear that your cousin had 3 people locked down in the basement of her house, and she was starving them and torturing them. And you heard that come out on the news. You never seen your cousin do that. So somebody come to you like, hey, this your cousin. You talk to him all the time. What do you have to say? I don't know what to say. I never knew that they was doing this. That's the kind of the position that Miss April's in. She never witnessed, saw of, or heard of any of the things that has come out to be proven in court. But now that she sees it, she said that she was able to come to terms with the fact that this stuff came out, but she's still going to stay loyal to him, you know, because she can only say of what she knows. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. But y'all, I think that's awesome. We got anybody else have anything else they want to say? Question, Tanya?
And you know, I want to make this clear too. I hate anybody. I hate the actions that these people did. The enablers, everybody. This is just so crazy that you knew a person that had issues too. And yes, I have sympathy for people that have mental illnesses. I do. I have sympathy for them. God forgive me. But yes, I have sympathy. I dealt with a father with mental illness. So I'm going to always have sympathy for them.
Robbie said, my older brother made music for Kels, and in the beginning wouldn't let me come around. When I got to be 18, he was like, you can come around now because you too old for him now. It was a running joke.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And see, you know, when you hear people say all of that kind of stuff, you know, it's you know, like everybody went along with the stuff. Now y'all want to crucify him. And that's just my input.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just giving a statement.
Right.
But I have everybody involved in the case. I pray for them all. This has been one hell of an experience. You couldn't have never told me that this man would have ever hit a woman, called them a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming to terms with things, and it's gonna be okay. And like I said, God humbles people for a reason.
Right.
Free RKelly when he gets the help he needs.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
I pray for all involved.
Yes,
Everybody have a great day.
You too, Miss April. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Miss April.
Yeah, you go. So look, that's if y'all don't got nothing else, I'm ready to get up out of here.
Yeah.
We're gonna hit 2.5 hours now.
Thank you, Atmos.
Y'all listen, y'all did
Thank
an
you,
excellent
ladies.
job. Thank you, Miss Quaisha. Thank you, Riri. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, T-Bam, for coming on the reading. Thank you for everybody in the chat for being here and supporting this live today. I don't think I'm coming back on today, but y'all know sometimes I might, pop up on y'all. But if not, I will definitely see y'all tomorrow morning for the morning show. But God bless all of y'all. Y'all have a blessed day. Thank you very much.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Off the topic completely, but can I ask for all of you guys prayers, because my foster daughter, tomorrow is the day that I find out if I get to adopt her or not. So big prayers I need. Fingers crossed.
Yay.
She's been with me for 2.5 years now. She's 3 years old, and it's been a long wait. So Tomorrow morning, I find out.
All right.
Right.
Yes, you would definitely pray that God gives you that favor.
Thank you so much. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
I love y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Thank
Love
you.
you.
Bye.
Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Peace out, y'all.
Oh, 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 no. I don't need negative energy, wrap me in positive synergy. I have been doubted through life, been never done it with trifling people who told me my style would not work. I told them they wrong, they're struggling too long. This song is for you, I'm proving you wrong. Get out my way, get out my way, get out my way, get out my way.
I'm a genuine person. Like if I love you, I love you. If I don't mess with you, I don't mess with you. It's as simple as that.